Hi, everyone.
How you doing?
Who are you?
I'm Carla.
I'm Arlaana, and we are
Don't Mess with the Mommas.
Mommas, with our motto.
Motto, you are the protagonist of your life, not the victim of your destiny.
Take it away.
So today, we will be talking about the concept of changing poison into medicine. But before we do, we have a carryover question from the last episode on justice. So, Arlaana?
Yeah. So the last episode was called The Soul of Justice, and something that we really wanted to share is many years ago I was on a panel discussion, and I was actually the moderator, and we talked about, is war just? Mm-hmm. And it's interesting, at that time there was one of our members, our SGI members from Croatia, and we had quite the in-depth dialogue. Mm-hmm. And that what we talked about is, if you have to defend yourself, of course, war becomes just if it's a legitimate defense, not some made-up stuff. Mm-hmm. Or if you are trying to break away from an autocratic or theocratic regime, then it becomes just. And just like the American Revolution, breaking away from the British, we had no alternative. Once you expend all sorts of possibilities, and you see that it's just not working, that dialogue's not working, negotiations, this or that, then you may have to take the next step if it's really legitimate. Mm-hmm. So I think that discussion was such an eye-opener for me, because we believe that the sanctity of life, every human being is worthy of respect, and we never want to see some life, extinguished, absolutely. But sometimes, in the nature of things, there is no alternative. So that was a really interesting discussion. But actually, we're going to take away for a totally different subject.
Okay. And so, as I said before, this will be on the concept of changing poison into medicine. And Arlaana, can you tell me how this concept has been experienced through science or interpreted through science and history?
Absolutely. We use this concept a lot in our SGI Buddhist practice, because it's all about transformation, right? Mm-hmm. And what may seem like a poison to the naked eye may end up being the greatest medicine. And what's really interesting is that in science, sorry to look at my notes, my mind is getting weaker as I get older. Snake venom, which definitely you don't want to get bitten by a snake. Snake venom has been used for heart medicine, homeopathy, which I studied. The concept of the poison is so diluted that it becomes the medicine. You're able to heal naturally. Right. Your body is able to naturally heal. Vaccine, same way. Right. You're injecting some of the poison or the disease into the body, which allows your immune system to really get strong, so you can overcome, the actual disease. Botulism has been used for Botox for women to make, or men to make themselves younger, glamorous, whatever. And then the Gila monster, which whatever, the saliva has been used to treat diabetes. I don't know how these scientists discovered that, but it's really something. So many, many examples in science of transforming poison to medicine. In history, if I can share some of that. Sure. So the Black Death, of course, was horrific, and many, many lives were lost. But because of that, there was such a need for workers. The peasants were able to stand up and get their rights recognized, so unions were able to begin, right? Good. So that's something. And then, after World War II and the horrific Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs were dropped on Japan, Japan transformed from a militaristic society to a society based on technological advancement. So we have many, many examples, and we'll share our own personal examples as well of changing poison to medicine. And what appears as negative, sometimes it's not at all. And I have to just share this one
Okay,
thing.
go ahead.
The "this is good" encouragement.
Okay.
One of our seniors in faith encouraged somebody with the "this is good," and I think I spoke about it before, but I can't stop thinking about it. A king and his sidekick were out hunting, and the sidekick had the gun, and for some reason the gun backfired and shot off the king's finger. And the sidekick said, "This is good." The king looked at him, "What the heck? This is good? I don't have a finger. I'm throwing you in prison for doing this." Thrown in prison. Many years later, the king was on an expedition, ran into cannibals. And as they were about to cook him, they saw he didn't have a finger. And they said, I'm not going to cook this guy without a finger. No way. So this is good. Now, when he got back, and eventually he let his sidekick out of prison, the sidekick said, this is good that he was in prison. He said, "What do you mean?" "Well, had I been with you, I would have been cooked," right? So things that may appear on the surface really negative may be the cause to really transform your life in a positive way. And when people have terrible illness, they use that as an impetus to get so much stronger and appreciate their lives, recognize that life is precious and that nothing is guaranteed. So and sometimes people don't overcome, of course. Life is limited, but life is eternal. Great news. But by transforming, overcoming cancer, those who can, they have so much more appreciation for life, and they want to accomplish so much more than they were able to do had they not had that disease at all.
So with that, I would say that what I learned is that during the cholera, cholera, it was because people didn't have clean water and sewage, and one person traced it all the way down to a certain water pump that was not clean, and that's how they were able to sanitize the water and the sewage, that system. The other thing is that there was a fire on some river. And because of that, people ask, well, why is this happening? Fire is not supposed to be coming out of water. We developed the EPA, the Environmental Protection Act, to make sure the water's clean. We don't get, sick from drinking dirty water. Another thing that happened was during World War II, they needed to have instant communication on the battlefield. And what happened was these computers were developed that helped them to crack codes. And so that's how they were able to get the lead and advance and overcome the Germans. Let's see, what else was there? Emmett Till. His death sparked the civil rights movement, or was one of the things that helped to gain traction for that, because his mother wanted the world to see what had happened to her son due to racism. And because of that, the civil rights bill was signed into law. I think there may be some other...
Well, while you're thinking about that, I was thinking, all the things that we gain when we overcome adversity. And, it's when we practice this Buddhism, we congratulate a person if they lose their job, which sounds like, what? Why are you congratulating me? But it's an opportunity for that person to really determine to become much stronger and to challenge their lives in ways that they would not have challenged. So, when we have adversity, we gain tremendous empathy for others. We gain tremendous resilience, just like when we talked about failure, right? Failing forward, right? We are able to gain tremendous courage as well. So we don't look at suffering. Of course, people being, human, we must have difficulties and challenges in our life. But instead of giving in to the suffering, we use suffering or struggles as a springboard to develop our lives. So, when you think about the great leaders of today, and everybody is a leader in their own right, they've overcome tremendous struggle, and that's what connects them. If you just have somebody who seems perfect, right? It's so shallow. It's not even real. It's AI. But to have somebody who's really overcome so much, you could really connect to that person, and you can, that person who's overcome so much can encourage in so many ways.
That's right. That's right. So do you have a personal experience where you
do, yes,
change poison into medicine?
For sure.
Okay.
So when I was little, I think I've talked about this, and it's in my book, A Day in the Next, Journey from Brooklyn to Buddhism. So, I had a heart problem, and then everybody said, well, not everybody, but the doctor said, everything's fine, you don't need to be concerned about it, your heart murmur or hole in the heart has healed. And then when I was 30, I found out by accident, nothing is accidental in life, right? I was so protected that I found out that my heart was very enlarged, and I found out I needed open heart surgery. And at the time, my mother, who had so many nervous breakdowns, she was starting on her 13th nervous breakdown. And there was no money we didn't have any hospital insurance left. My sister was about to go on her honeymoon with her second husband, and I chanted Nam Myoho Renge Kyo so furiously. I said, this has to not only work for my life, but for my family as well. And it's only when you're backed into a corner, that's when you really develop faith.
Yes.
When there's no choice, you have nothing else, nothing else. So I was able to find my mother, as a result of my fierce determination, the only research institute in the whole eastern part of the United States that happens to treat her illness. So she was treated like a queen, as she well deserved, because she'd struggled so much in life. And there were only 10 patients. She had her own private nurse. She had her own private doctor. It was wonderful. And then after that, she never had another nervous breakdown. Once I got her into this research unit, I had open heart surgery. Now, I was perfectly healthy because they said what I had was a silent killer. Once you find out, it's too late. Once you get symptoms, and you usually die in your 40s. And I actually had my son in early 40s instead of dying.
Good.
So I had this open heart surgery, and when my mother found out that I had open heart surgery, she was so amazed that on the phone, and this was from a Jewish mother, when we spoke from our respective hospitals, she said, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, right? So she was able to start her own practice and end her life. Even though she died of cancer, she was able, the last few years of her life were really wonderful and glorious in so many ways. So, I had no idea that I would need to have open heart surgery to transform my own struggles and my family's struggles as well. But because of that, everything was able to change. And I was able to live as well.
Very good.
So many, many, many experiences like that. How about you?
Well, I remember it wasn't it came from my Buddhist practice,
Okay.
Because they told me when people treat you bad, they're taking something out of your life and they're putting it in theirs. You're changing your karma.
Right.
So I was working in a hospital, and we always had a problem with medications. The people would come looking for their medication. Oh, we don't have it. It's on back order. These are people with heart conditions, psoriasis, whatever. And so this one man, he was a Polish man, he came to the window, and again, I had to tell him, no, we don't have your medication. And he cursed me out. He called me everything but a child of God in Polish. And
it's not really funny, but it is.
I stood there, I put my hands together, I bowed my head and said, thank you. And when I came back up, the man was like, what? What are you doing? Well, I just called you all these things, and I just say thank you. And that changed our relationship. When he came back the next time, I think we had his medication, but we were on a whole different kind of relationship. And when I was ready to leave that job, the next time I saw him, I made sure I gave him a book of my little poetry and my drawings to say, thank you again and bye-bye, something to remember me by. So that was one of my things of turning poison into medicine.
And speaking about what you did, instead of like being antagonistic toward him and cursing him out, that wouldn't have created anything, because it would just be anything based on anger is not the solution. It just doesn't work unless it's an anger for the happiness of all humankind. So you're so angry that you want to really fight for people's happiness.
I have to tell you this next one.
Okay.
Again, working in the hospital.
Okay.
All right, here's a patient. Same situation, didn't have the medicine. And he's berating me in front of and there's
got a lot of berating.
Yeah, there's patients behind him, and they're standing listening to him. And so he says, well, what do you have? And I had a microphone at that time. And I said, I have the patience of Job. And the people who knew Job, they gave me a standing ovation. They took my mic away, but I got a laugh.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. And you talked about thank you, the power of thank you. It's just seems so simple, but there was a situation where a gentleman, he was Japanese and was sent over to Spain because there was a lot of dissension. There was no unity among people. And he didn't speak the language at all. All he knew was how to say gracias, thank you, thank you. And that's what he did. He kept on saying thank you, thank you, thank you. And somehow that dispelled, those two words dispelled all that negativity. Because what do? When somebody is, using either humor or just showing appreciation, even the most evil person is worthy of respect. And, we have one of our bodhisattvas, somebody aspiring for enlightenment. He was called Bodhisattva Never Disparaging. And no matter what the people were doing, he would always bow to them, bow to their Buddha nature or the potential inside their lives. He didn't see the external, because sometimes people rant and rave and they look yucky and whatever, they're just so negative. But everybody has that diamond-like potential. It just, has to be uncovered. And some people, all you see is coal, because they made so many horrible causes that all this coal is covered up, covering up the diamond. But everybody is worthy of respect. So,
so where shall we go?
I love it.
Listen, what does SGI say about changing poison into medicine?
That's our basic tenets, right? I mean, that's what we believe, that you can look at any opportunity as transforming, So the more we say that the heavier your karma, the more, negativity you have in your life, the heavier your mission. So just think, when you battle all of these things in your life, what a strong human being you can become. Not because, it's not a benefit necessarily to have an easy life. It's not a benefit for a young influencer to have all this money early on, because what are they developing in their life, So we use everything as a springboard for happiness. So poison is not poison. Poison is really medicine in disguise, right? But if you leave poison as poison,
then it's going to be poison.
Then it's going to be. But if you use the poison to transform, and of course we're not talking about actual poison that you take and you kill yourself. Not that kind of poison. No. It's more like a life poison or negativity, we could say.
It could be family problems. It could be money problems. It could be school problems. It could be marriage problems.
And health. And health problems.
All these problems can be poison, And the other thing that I like is when we're going through these challenges, to remember, okay, I've heard one lady said, because of this problem, I can do my human revolution.
Right.
Or because I have this problem,
polish your life.
I will be able to fulfill my mission. My mission is to change this problem. So regardless, I'm going to change it. I don't have to know how I'm going to change it. I just know that this is what I'm determining for myself.
And the important thing is, we have another thing that we always tell everybody, and encourage people with: never be defeated. The most difficult situation, is there for you. Even if you're given a diagnosis of terminal cancer, to determine, I will win, however that is interpreted. some people may die from cancer, but their life condition doesn't have to be defeated.
Right.
They can really live their life, appreciating every moment of their life. So never to be defeated, is really a key to changing poison
into medicine.
To medicine, yeah.
And I think with that, did we cover everything?
I think pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so I will give the final encouragement. Okay, so this is the promise of changing poison into medicine. The ultimate promise of this principle is one of hope and victory. Ikeda Sensei often uses the phrase, great disaster without fail changes into great fortune. This transformation is not automatic. It requires a fight. But for those who practice with courage, any loss can be regained tenfold or 100-fold in the form of immense benefit. It is the path to creating a life of brilliant achievement from the depths of any challenge.
Wow,
So
I
with
love
that,
it.
with
Courage,
that.
courage.
And if you don't have courage, you can chant to have courage.
And create some, yeah. If you don't have hope, create some.
That's
if
right.
you don't have courage, create some, whatever it is.
And if you're not happy, create your own happiness.
And never look at things that can't be resolved or solved. Absolutely. There's always
Everything
always
can
hope.
be solved.
Yep. With that, we are
Don't mess with the Mommas.
MOMMAS, and with our motto,
You are the protagonist of your life, not the victim of your destiny.
You can find us on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and
Spotify.
and Amazon and Apple Music and wherever else you view or listen to your podcasts. Just spell Mommas right, MOMMAS.
That's right.
And thank you so much. We'd love to hear from you. mommas.podcast@gmail.com. Tell us how you're changing poison to medicine, or what your poison is, or what kind of encouragement you need, or whatever it is. You are worthy of respect. You are golden. You are a diamond in the rough.
I always knew that.
You always knew that? It ain't about diamonds being girls' best friend. It's about the inside diamond being a human being's best friend. Okay.
So I guess we'll. Oh, and please leave a comment. Leave a comment.
Yes, please.
Bye-bye.
Bye.